October 9th, 2020, New Boston, Texas. A 911 call comes in. A mother, screaming. Her daughter is dead, and someone has taken her unborn grandchild. By the time police arrive, they'll find a scene so violent, so calculated, that even veteran investigators will struggle to process it. But the real horror isn't just what happened inside that house. It's who did it, and why she'd been planning it for almost a year. This is the story of Taylor Parker, the woman who faked a pregnancy for 10 months and then decided to make it real. 2019. Taylor Parker is 27 years old, twice divorced, and, according to court testimony, desperate to hold on to a relationship with a man named Wade Griffin, a roofer and hog trapper she'd met at a rodeo. There's just one problem. Parker can't have children. Years earlier, complications from an ectopic pregnancy forced her into a hysterectomy. Biologically, it isn't possible. She tells Griffin she's pregnant anyway, and then she keeps telling him for months. She stages doctor's appointments. She throws a full gender reveal party. She shows friends and family fabricated ultrasound images. She pads her body to simulate the physical changes of pregnancy, and she makes sure no one gets close enough to verify any of it themselves. To everyone around her, Taylor Parker is a woman glowing with the promise of new life. In reality, she's building a timeline she has no way of completing. Around this same time, Parker is working as a wedding and engagement photographer, and one of her clients is a young couple in New Boston, Texas, Reagan Simmons-Hancock and her husband. Reagan is 21 years old, a wife, already a mother to a 3-year-old daughter. And by the fall of 2020, she's roughly 36 weeks pregnant with her second child. Taylor Parker knows her, has photographed her wedding, has watched her pregnancy progress in real time. And as Parker's own fake due date creeps closer, with no baby to show for it, something starts to shift. The morning of October 9th, 2020, Taylor Parker tells people she's headed to a hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma, to pre-register for labor. She doesn't go to Oklahoma, not yet. Police believe she goes to Reagan Simmons-Hancock's home first. What happens inside that house is almost too brutal to describe. Reagan is beaten and stabbed. Investigators would later count injuries in the dozens. She fights, hard. Evidence at the scene, blood on the couch, hair clumped where her head had rested during the struggle, tells investigators she didn't go without resistance. Her 3-year-old daughter is in the home the entire time. She survives physically unharmed. But she's a witness to something no child should ever be near. And then, in an act that will define this case in headlines for years to come, Parker cuts Reagan's unborn baby from her body. She leaves Reagan Simmons-Hancock dead on the floor of her own living room, and she drives away with the baby. Not long after, a Texas state trooper pulls over a car for erratic driving near DeKalb, close to the Oklahoma border. Behind the wheel, Taylor Parker. In her arms, a newborn. She tells the officer she just gave birth on the side of the road. Both Parker and the infant are rushed to a hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma, and it's here that the deception collapses in a matter of minutes. Medical staff examine Parker. There's no sign she has recently given birth, and because she couldn't have. Her hysterectomy made that a medical impossibility. The baby doesn't survive. DNA testing will later confirm what doctors already suspected. This was never Taylor Parker's child. It was Reagan Simmons-Hancock's daughter, a little girl who would later be named Braxlyn Sage Hancock. As police piece together the timeline, the full scope of Parker's year-long deception starts to surface. The fake pregnancy, the gender reveal, the fabricated ultrasounds. All of it, investigators argue, was building toward this exact moment, a plan to produce a baby of her own by any means necessary. Parker is arrested and, following extradition back to Texas, charged with capital murder, and kidnapping. In December 2020, a Bowie County grand jury formally indicts her. By January 2021, prosecutors announced they'll seek the death penalty. Parker's trial begins in September 2022, and it will become one of the most closely watched capital cases in Bowie County history. Over the following weeks, jurors hear from more than 140 witnesses. Crime scene reconstruction experts walk the jury through the violence inside that new Boston home. Forensic analysts testify about DNA evidence recovered from the scene. The defense makes a chilling legal argument that Braxlin wasn't alive and breathing at the moment of the attack, meaning, under their interpretation, no kidnapping occurred and the capital murder charge shouldn't apply. The prosecution counters with medical testimony. Braxlin arrived at the hospital with a heartbeat. She was alive when Parker took her. The jury doesn't take long to decide. On October 3, 2022, Taylor Parker is convicted of capital murder. The sentencing phase alone stretches on for 25 days. Jurors deliberate for just over an hour. Their decision: death. Parker becomes the 7th woman on Texas's death row, the first in over a decade to receive that sentence under state law. Reagan's mother addresses Parker directly in the courtroom, in words that capture the raw devastation of a family torn apart by a stranger's obsession with a life she couldn't have. Parker's appeals would drag on for years. In November 2025, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals upholds her conviction and sentence. In May 2026, the U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear her case, closing the door on her direct appeals, though habeas corpus review could still continue for years. As of today, there's no execution date set. Taylor Parker remains on death row at the Patrick O'Daniel unit in Texas. And this past June, her story reached a global audience when Netflix released Maternal Instinct, reigniting public fascination with one of the most disturbing crimes of the decade. What makes this case so hard to shake isn't just the violence, it's the timeline. 10 months of lies. A gender reveal party for a child that never existed. A woman so committed to a fiction that when reality finally caught up with her, she chose to take someone else's child and someone else's life to keep it alive. Reagan Simmons-Hancock should have been bringing her daughter home from the hospital that week. Instead, her name is remembered for the way she was taken from her family and from a little girl who was in the room the whole time.